Episode 63, YouTube Hobby Content Creator, Neo Cards and Comics, Part 2. Hi friends, if you listened to the last episode about a conundrum I faced as an eBay seller, you will know that this intro has got to be short this time since I spoke so much in the earlier one. And I also have to close the loop on that and tell you the ending. But the last time I did an intro, it just went so long that it became its own podcast episode. And that is why you can potentially hear the washer and dryer going on in the background because, well, I made a game time decision. And with snow days, my fellow parents in the hobby know that it means so much more laundry. And well, kind of like what Newman says on Seinfeld, the mail never stops, and neither does the laundry, and neither does the hobby. Um, I almost sidetracked. I was going to do 20 minutes on washers and dryers. Although if I had to, I probably could. Probably wouldn't be as funny as Jerry, Seinfeld. Jerry Seinfeld doing his bit about the one sock in the dryer, what he calls, I had to do the The washing machine is the nightclub of clothes. Okay, that was terrible. But speaking of Seinfeld, I made so many off-the-cuff references to the Indomitable show in this episode when I listened back to it, and just I guess I just want to say this. Speaking of pop culture, if you've seen Lord of the Rings, you know that there are several times you think the movie is going to end. I think I'm talking about the first one, maybe the second one. But it just keeps going on. And when I listened back to this episode to make the description for Spotify, I realized that every time I tried ending the episode, Neo and we just kept talking and talking. But I think it's because we just like to talk and we were just having a good time. So, but if you've ever hiked, the phenomena is also called like false summits. You think you got to the top of the mountain, and then there's like more mountain to climb. So anyway, that's it for this intro. This is free entertainment, so that's the good news. But I do really appreciate your time with listening, and I do hope that you enjoy this one. So, without further ado, it's time to get to part 2 with Neo Cards and Comics.
To do.
Yeah.
So everyone was looking for something to watch, and I think that really helped.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you have to put out quality content because if you could post as much as you want. If you're not putting out good content, it's not like people just aren't going to watch. Like,
no, that's not true. I post a lot. I'm in the volume game. I'm not in the quality game. I just do mass volume.
So am I. I mean, I post daily. I post almost. I've posted
daily.
I've posted a daily video. Nearly, I'm sure I've probably missed a day here and there, but I have posted a daily video since I started posting daily January 1st, 2022.
Wow.
I remember 2022 rolled around. I had already hit 1,000 subscribers. I started the channel in April. I hit 1,000 subscribers, which was when you can monetize in September. And I never thought I would hit 100. Like, I was like, oh, if I ever hit 100, that would be the best thing ever. And then I hit 1,000 in September, which was fairly quickly, but once again, I think that kind of fed into more the pandemic phase of life that we were all in. And then January, I was posting like probably 3 videos a week back then, like when I first started. And then January 2022, I was just like, I'm going to post daily and just see what happens. And then I just kind of got in that like routine. I don't have kids. My wife and I don't have kids, so I have the time. And then I was just kind of like, all right, let's just kind of keep it going. And then I don't know about you, like you get kind of I don't want to say you get addicted to the numbers, but like always like, oh, how many views did I get today? Like, oh, how did that compare to yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like to see that graph drop down. I should do a video for tomorrow. And to answer your earlier question, I do not have a content calendar. My content calendar, the only thing that I know that I'm doing every week is I do the same video every Sunday. It's the weekly sports card market update. I've been doing that almost, I think I started that 2 or 3 months into the channel. And that's like the only thing that I know I am doing. Beyond that, I'm figuring it out the night before sometimes.
We are definitely going to get to comics. I keep pushing it back, but every time there's some sort of segue or tangent, I do want to ask one question that goes to you were talking about the weekly market update video, and I am going to attribute this question to Pancake Analytics. Shout out to him, who responded to my question on my story about having you on and what questions people may have. So his question was, how do you ensure the accuracy of the data in your weekly market update videos?
So, and I know, shout out Pancake. We chat often.
Mhm.
So most of the cards that I am looking at in the weekly market update are stuff that sells frequently. So if something's an outlier, I'll usually, like, if I see something that's like way off base, I'll double check it. If I don't know, I'll just Lucas Silver Prism is usually around $1,000 to $1,200 in a PSA 10. If I pull up the chart for that and I'm going to show it on the video, and all of a sudden I see one that sold for like $3,000 or sold for $100 or something weird on the comps, I'll go look at, because Market Movers lets you look at the completed listings, so you could see like what sales it's pulling from each individual one, and I'll go look at that one that's an outlier and see like what's up with it. And then I've even said in videos sometimes I'll be like, ignore this or ignore that because like something weird happened here or whatever. Now I'm not looking at, I'd be lying to you if I said I look at every single individual sale, but typically the types of cards that I'm pulling up are things that transact often enough that there is a general baseline there. So you can kind of tell if something goes way out of line. I'm not looking at like, pop 5 that have sold, once every 9 months. And it's tough to kind of track stuff down.
You're not looking at Eli Manning gold prisms.
Ooh.
That are mega. Was that? I just pulled a random player out of thin air. No, I almost said Peyton Manning, and I was like, no,
I just mega bid on
those.
I don't.
Yes.
Blind mega bid
Oh,
on
who? I want to know which influencer in the future is going to be mega bidding on Arch Manning. It's going to be some Manning, right? And apparently, Quinn Ewers is coming back to Texas, and he made the announcement by inscribing on a card that he's coming back, which is a nice little. That was a cool little moment for the hobby. But
it does feel like athletes are getting more involved in that sort of stuff, whether it's inscriptions or like I saw I actually talked about it in my video for tomorrow. I think it's MJ Menendez. I forget what team he plays for in baseball. He put out basically like a personal bounty on his like WBC Topps Dynasty cards, like his 101s. And he's like, hey, if someone pulls these, reach out. I want to trade for him. I'll fly you to a game and do a trade with you because I want these cards back. Like, I thought that was kind of cool. And like you've seen stuff with like Corbin Carroll's like a big collector. I think Bobby Witt's a big collector.
Yeah, right. It'd be funny if someone was like really deathly afraid of flying, especially with like the doors popping out of the Boeing 9s. Don't fly me out, please. No, that's cool. So MJ, oh my gosh, I thought you were talking about like the Menendez brothers. That's totally not it. Who is this guy? MJ Melendez?
I forget now. You're
I want to look this up. I mean, I'm not gonna go chase this card.
Well, it's Topps Dynasty. They're like $750 a box.
Melendez, Kansas City Royals. Oh my gosh! So I guess him and Bobby Witt are just like trading cards with each other.
Oh yeah, yeah, he is a Royal. That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
It was all. I'm surprised you didn't see it. It was all over Instagram.
I don't really do Instagram. I'm now on Threads. No, I love my Instagram. It's just yeah, talk about the numbers. Like I really do say to myself, and I'm trying to make myself believe it, but I don't let the analytics dictate what I do, but I do look at it, but mainly to see like what's really what's actually not just liked or viewed, but kind of like what's actually engaging with people, what's hitting resonating is what I was trying to say, what's resonating with people. But I don't really there's so many people talking about the algorithm, and maybe if you want to talk a little bit about the YouTube algorithm, but for me it's just consistency and just making content that I like and something that makes me laugh.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to unlock is that you have to find your own voice. It sounds super cliche, but it is really true. Like you can like copycat someone to get like a general tenor for kind of what you want to do, but you still have to find your own individual voice on kind of how you want to present yourself, your content, and whatever. And that's going to matter more than anything else, I feel like, than just making like clickbait nonsense. I mean, I know
Right.
I could generally predict how a video is going to do based
Hmm.
off of how I title it and thumbnail it to some degree or
Mm.
another. Like I did one, I don't know when this is going to post, but I did one on like ultra modern football, like
Mm.
basically a train wreck how all the prices crashed, and I had slabs
Mhm.
on the thing with fire behind it, and like it's all if you put all going to zero and something,
Oh my
whatever it is, and a
gosh.
big
Yeah.
down arrow crashing, like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
video is probably going to perform pretty well. If
Okay.
I put top 10 cards in my PC, that video is probably not going to do very well.
Yeah.
Like it really,
Yeah.
like it's you see this like you'll see this commentary in comments or just in social in general about why isn't there more collector based content? Why is it all drama? Why is it
Oh.
all clickbait?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy because as a content creator, yeah, you're going to make some videos that are truly for you. And this could be your in the comics because my comic videos don't tend to perform very well compared to everything
Mm.
else because
Okay.
a bulk of my audience is sports card based. It makes sense. Like they're not going to like not everyone there is going to click on a comic book video. It's a small percentage of my audience that cares about that, but I enjoy making those videos, so I do
Hmm.
anyway. The flip side of that though is if I do all these cards are going to zero or this whatever the latest mega bid thing is or whatever the case might be, I know that video is going to perform really well. And as a content creator, whether you like it or not, that gets in your head of, like, sure, I could do this video about showing off cool cards on my PC, but why do the 15 minutes on that to post it and have it get, X amount of views or perform meh when I could just talk about this thing over here and it's going to perform really well. Like that,
Hmm.
there's that, whether you're thinking about it or not, that's
Yeah.
we're humans, that plays into us. So if you want more, not more, I don't want to say positive content, but if you just want more like collector based content or non-drama content, then you need to watch that stuff. Like
Yeah.
click on those videos or click on those IG reels or whatever it is. Because as content creators, to a point, we're going to create what does well. It's just we're humans. It's the nature of the beast.
Two things I want to say to that, and yes, we are going to get comics, but I think that's like the fifth time I've said that in this past hour. One, I find that the people who say that they don't want the drama are the ones who want the drama the most. I think it's just so funny. People are like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired of the drama. They're the ones who are like watching till the end, and they
Or the
add to their
first
watch.
commenter.
Yeah, they won't like the video, right? Because oh, I refuse to give this. It's like someone who's like watching all the train wreck videos and they're like, why is this algorithm giving me only train wreck videos, or something more licentious, like why are all these women on my, I can't believe it, like why would they show me all this? And they're all just like, that's where they're spending all their time, right? So I think that's funny. The second thing is when it comes to the pure, I definitely want to talk about this in the future with you or someone else. I would love to have you on again, but like this concept of a pure collector, it just sounds so like Hogwarts, like Muggle blood. Oh my goodness! Like
Yeah.
you're Hermione. You're a half blood. Like what is this pure collector nonsense? And like this whole, I feel like there's a lot of like navel gazing when it comes to pure collectors. Like it's like, oh, I only want to talk about the cards. Look at my cards. Those are the people who are like who want the likes. They want people to affirm that they've made the right choice in the cards that they collect and they buy. And it's like you are also wanting adulation for your quote unquote content. And I don't even think it's really content when you just post a card and there's nothing in the captions and like, nothing. Like I promise I am not like trying to do shots fired on like, like someone like Nat Turner, but he'll post a card, right? But I want to know, like, what does this card mean to him? But of course,
Yeah.
because it's Nat Turner, it gets like 500 likes. And it's like, well, that's nice, but like, what do these cards mean to him? And it's like, a lot of the collector folks are like, they put him up on a pedestal, like he is the pure collector. And it's like, tell me the story. Like, why do these cards matter to you?
Yeah. I think part of the success that I think I've had, like just in the content and growing the channel and stuff, is because I try to play in all those. Like I will do a video of like, hey, here's some cool stuff that I picked up recently. Oh, hey, here is the video on, this certain drama like topic. Oh, hey, here is the video on this card went to zero. Oh, hey, here is the video reacting to whatever the latest breaking news thing is. But yeah, the whole pure collector thing, like we're all a little bit of everything. Like
Yeah.
we're all collectors. We all got a little flip in us. You know, we all like a little bit of drama. We all like to look at cool cards every once in a while. Like it just kind of depends what you're in the mood for that day. But if anyone that tries to be like, no, I am only this, is just lying to themselves.
That's very well said. Thank you, Neo. Yeah, there are definitely some of these pure, quote unquote, pure collectors on Instagram who they don't post their transactions. They don't post their I sold this to buy into this. They like reference it. And I'm not gonna name anyone because I don't want to like because I really do like some collector content. Some of it I think is just so dry, right? It's like my podcast about collectors, and it's like I'm trying, dude. I don't want to fall asleep to another podcast, but I'm really trying. I can't get through it. And I'm not saying like my podcast is the best. It's just more of like, what's the value, whether it's entertaining, funny, educational, like, you know, I'm not saying like we just burn the barn talking about fanatics, but like I hope people listen to that and we're like, that some interesting take takes between two people who have nothing to do with the creation of card shows. But I'm trying. I consume so much content in the hobby, and I do find collector based content to kind of almost be like, again, like navel gazing, a little bit too dry. And I would love to know, like, people just want to be like, oh, this is what I collected, but it's like, why? Like, what's the why? Like, and why should I care? Other than like, I want to
Yeah,
buy
like
that card off you.
give me the story behind it. Like, how did you get it? Why did you go after it? What was the hunt behind it? Like,
Yeah.
give me more than just be like, here's this cool, super rare card of
I bought
whatever
it
it
off
is.
eBay. And it's like, there's no feeling to that. I mean, it's
And I'm
just,
sure like those people have really strong audiences, but I think you kind of saw the divergence during the pandemic of like, especially on YouTube, like collector based content feels like it had kind of a ceiling on it. And like,
mhm.
then, I mean, I'll throw myself into this because I started creating content during the pandemic. Like, the new age creator kind of came along that was doing
Mm,
like hey, I bought this for 500 and I sold it for 1500, and then that allowed me to buy like these three other cool things, and I sold one of those and kept this one, or I lost my butt on this one, or
mhm.
whatever. And like that style of content came up, and you immediately saw channels that were doing stuff like that like just blew past
Right.
people that have been creating good. And it's not like they're bad creators, like the content is good. I watched some of them,
So some of it's bad.
but the masses, for lack of a better, like
Yeah.
they gravitated more towards, I don't want to say like the flash and the sizzle, but I guess that kind of is what it is.
Well, I think because it was almost like it wasn't meant to be educational, but I think people tried to derive some educational value out of that, being like, "Ooh, maybe I could do that," right? It's like, could I maybe flip this like that guy did? Like, there's so much of
Mhm.
YouTube. Like, look at all these like skateboarders doing tricks, and they're like, if you're a skateboarder, you're like, oh, I kind of want to try that trick, right? Or like that cooking, whatever. Like, oh, I want to try to make that meal, right? I mean, it's not meant to be educational. Sometimes it's not like not every cooking video has an ingredients list and like, here's how do you make it. But people look at that stuff and they go, I want to try that. So I do get a sense that, and I know I'm not trying to put words in your mouth and you didn't say this, but I don't know, I'm getting so riled up right now. It's been on my mind for a while, but I do feel as if the collector content creators ha- started, and if they were really being honest with themselves, right? I mean, because we can all like lie to ourselves and lie to others and all that, but if they're really being true to themselves, I think some of them were just getting jealous or like upset that, oh my gosh, like all these eyeballs are now going to this other type of content, and I don't make that type of content.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is, and I don't want to, we're probably going to poke the hornet's nest here, but it's whatever. I'm sure a lot of it is like, I've been doing this for a very long time. These new kids came along. Why is everyone watching them now? Or like, why is their audience so
Mhm.
big? And even if you're doing it for like the sanctity of, I truly enjoy making content, I'll go back to what I said before. We're all humans. We're all going to have that little bit of like, huh, why is that guy just started like a month ago? He doesn't even know what the hell he's talking about. The only thing
Oh
he knows
yeah,
is what a Luca based prism is. Why is he
and
like,
back
I have all this
here.
hobby knowledge, I have all this
Hmm.
card knowledge. Why aren't people watching what I'm putting out? Or, you know, I've been doing this for 5 years. Like I'm an OG content
Hmm.
creator on
Oh
whatever
gee.
platform. It could be
Yep.
YouTube, IG, whatever it is. Why aren't people gravitating towards me? And why are people gravitating towards this new person that doesn't even know what the hell he's talking about? And I'm sure there has to be a little bit of jealousy in there both ways. I mean, I'm sure you probably feel I'm sure you probably look at some stuff and you're like, really, that guy got that many views on that reel? It's not even that good.
I rarely, like, yes, if I'm being honest with myself, sometimes I go, man,
I'm not
like,
saying you
how
do it
did
every
that get
day,
so
but
long?
I'm
But
sure every once
oh
in a
yeah,
while you're probably
being
like,
very honest with
really,
myself,
that guy,
right.
that girl.
But for the most part, I feel like people say that about me, and I try to tell people, like, I don't know all the answers. I never espouse to, but people, I think the people who get upset at me are the ones who are like, I've been doing this for so long, and this guy came out of nowhere, and he's got this or that, and how dare he, or he doesn't know jack squat, and it's like, all right, well, just instead of getting upset at me, just up your content game. Just do better. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. Some people I think have a cap when it comes to their creativity or their, skills or their whatever it is. And more power to people who make content. And again, I joke about some people have bad content, but some people it just I try to, and I'm not going to call anyone out or even offline. I don't want to like tell you who I don't like, but there's some people who are creating content. It's like, it's just not landing with people, it's just not resonating. So I don't know, just instead of getting upset at the person who's trying to do things and trying to push the envelope or do something better, like, just let's all try to uplift each other. That's my main thing. And collector based content creators, like I'll root for you. I just want to, like, I hate to say it, I just don't want to fall asleep listening to podcasts.
Yeah, and I would say the same thing for people that don't create content to get mad at content creators. Like,
Yes.
it's like if you don't like the content that someone's creating, anyone can do this. Like, there's no secret sauce. I've always said the only difference between me and my viewers is that I choose to talk into probably a slightly better microphone than they own and post it on the internet.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only difference. Like, I'm an idiot sitting in my basement right now, just like probably a lot of other people are. Like, anyone has a phone. That's all you need. You don't need crazy equipment to hit record. You just have to be willing to put in a little bit of time. And
right.
Anyone can do this. And you don't need a plan. You don't need some secret sauce or whatever. Eventually good content will be good content and it will catch and you will build an audience. Like, it's the nature of the beast. If you're putting good stuff out there, good stuff will get rewarded. Even if you might be watching someone else and being like, this is trash. Clearly someone likes it.
Right.
Otherwise it wouldn't be getting 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 views or whatever it is that it's getting. So clearly something's working. Or they're buying it, one or the other.
Right. I hate to say it, but I don't hate to say it. It is a meritocracy. It is I know people are like, oh, it's just the trashy drama stuff that goes to the top. But no, it's like when people do things well, it gets in, again, whether it's the algorithm or not, but it gets eyeballs and people just, I don't know, just gravitate towards certain things and creators and styles. And you can't fabricate that, because if you do, people can spot a, inauthentic person or motif or whatever a mile away nowadays. Like, we're also skeptical, right? I mean, it's so easy to just see something and go, that something doesn't look right. And the person who's making it may think they're doing everything right. They're saying everything right, but it's, if it's not really you, it's just not going to land, I don't think.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. You have to be authentic to yourself and your audience, and you have to respect your audience's time, because they are giving you to sit down and watch whatever it is that you're posting. They're giving you the most ultimate valuable resource of they are taking time out of their day to watch something or look at something that you did, whether it's for 30 seconds, a minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour-long podcast, whatever it is. They're giving you that resource that's like, you can't get that back. Like, it's not like spending $10 on something I could go earn another $10. If I give you 10 minutes, like, I'm never getting that 10 minutes back. It's gone.
Right. No, I said it when I was a guest on Rob's podcast, but like, time is the ultimate equalizer, whether you're rich or poor, we all have the same 24 hours. And, I've said it here and there, and it's really true. And I didn't say it in the beginning of this, the intro of this podcast episode, but, thank you for listening, because you could be listening to any podcast in the world, but you're here with me, kind of like to paraphrase Jay-Z. And that's totally true. It's so funny that you and I are talking about respecting the listener's time, and we're at like 75 minutes of this podcast. We do respect you. It's just that it's like talking to a buddy. I mean, yeah, you are. I mean, this is the first time we've really, well, no, we met in person, but I'm saying like this long. We don't uh we DM, but we don't like face oh my god, what am I gonna say? Instagram video each other, and like we're
Yeah.
not talking to like that. But yeah, I think I watch your content. And there's definitely this thing I've been talking about, the parasocial relationships that occur where I feel like I know you because I listen to your voice. Not that you show your face a lot, but I knew that this was going to be an easy flowing conversation because you are, pretty good at the microphone.
That's why we were joking before. You said like a day or two before, you're like here's kind of topics I want to cover. Like, what are you thinking about? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't plan this stuff out. I just turn the microphone on and start talking, and whatever happens, happens. Like, I just feel like if you put two content creators together on a live or on a conversation, like
It's true.
it'll figure itself out.
Right. Well, this whole thing has been scripted, though. I mean, to the
Yes,
beats and the
100%.
silences and the tangents. I'm reading off a script right now, so
Yeah, it's
um,
all scripted.
yes, NFL game scripted. I do apologize about the Browns, but we all know that CJ Stroud had to get his this win in his remarkable rookie season. You really are a consummate
Panini paid it
professional.
off so they could sell more boxes of Prism, and Fanatics was in on it too because they have the auto deal.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, they don't even have his autograph in the product, and Prism's still going crazy, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, look at these cards!" And it's like you can't get his autograph. Sad.
I don't want to sidetrack us even more. I don't
Oh
think it's
gosh,
that
this
big of a
whole
deal
thing.
for Prism. I am
Mm,
fascinated to see what happens when NT and Flawless it.
mm, mm.
Like, what does that product look like without Stroud Young? I'm sorry, Stroud
Yeah.
Young and Will Levis. Like with
Well,
just
can't
Anthony Richardson and Bijan Robinson as the main chase.
can't
Feels
people just buy the custom cards where they're putting on the fake National Treasure 1 of 1 and they put on these patches? You've seen that, right? It's
Yeah, I've
wild
seen that
what
stuff. Some
people
of the
are
custom
doing.
stuff's really good though. Some of the
They do
custom
a really
stuff
good
is
job.
really good.
Yeah.
Some of those
No, but it's the
guys, I
fact.
mean, those guys are legitimately they're artists. Like some of those guys are legit
Yeah.
artists. Like I mean,
Yeah, and I definitely want to talk more about custom card art in like a future episode of the podcast and on my content. I bought some things. I mean, I'll just shout out people I bought from Tommy Card Carver, Cardmark Canada, Andy Friedman, Sunday Friedman, Piggy. I got a Piggy Banks piece coming real soon that I'm really excited about. So, yeah, I've definitely supported. Nothing. All with my budget for my regular hobby. I just spent money because I'm like these cards are really cool, and so they have no like. I don't want to say no resale value, but I'm not buying those to like flip, right? It's like these cards look so dope that I want them in my, like I want to put them up on my wall and things like that. So, but a CJ Stroud Nike swoosh 1 of 1, uh, put into a PSA slab that at the top says authentic auto because apparently it's a real sticker. I don't even know how they get that. But then for it to be a PSA slab, authentic auto, uh says custom card, I think, on the top, and like it's just too much.
I could already see the YouTube videos reacting to what is PSA doing now? How could they do this?
All
The
right,
great
before
We didn't
yeah,
talk
go ahead.
about it at all, but the grading wars is one of the greatest. Like it's just like the gift that keeps on giving to a content creator.
Neo, I gotta have you on for grading, but I know we're at like 80 minutes. I did say we're gonna get the comics, and I do not want to push that too far too much. Talking about grading, CGC, comics, the reholders. I mean, to bring it maybe into cards, like should we be worried about reholders and of slabbed cards? Like what's going on with the comics, Neo cards and comics?
So essentially, what happened is someone figured out a way to get this. We don't know the full details, but the gist is that they basically figured out how to get the slab open and swap the book out. So they would take I'll put this in card terms. They would take a PSA 10 card, crack it open, pull the card out, put the new, or I should pull the collectible out, put the new collectible in with a lower grade, but looked kind of close. It was borderline, and then send it in for a reholder and get it reholdered in a new holder that was clean and pure. Same cert number. That's how they caught it. But that's basically the gist of it. Someone figured out a way to swap comic books out of a CGC holder, send it in for a reholder service, and have CGC reholder in a new holder, and it was getting through. And the list is 350 comics long. The estimate is that it's about little shy of $2 million worth of comic books, give or take. And that's just what we know. That's what was made public.
Could be the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, because it's like how much is really out there, and it kind of goes back to like the community calling this stuff out. Like these companies do listen. There was a massive outpouring on Instagram and YouTube and on their message boards, kind of a combined effort from all the different social spheres of we need answers for this, and a constant pushback of we need answers, and days were going by where we weren't getting them. And CGC finally was kind of forced to make a statement on it, like to publicly acknowledge like this happened and this is what we're doing to fix it. So they haven't gave like the full details of what they're doing to fix it. I mean, they're going to make people write like on the back end, supposedly. I assume they're going to make some. They've said they've already made some internal improvements. I assume they're going to make some improvements to their slab. Because what kind of also came out of this is some comic book YouTubers, Immaculate Comics is the one that did it the most, basically showed directly online, like, hey, here's all you have to do to get this thing open. So it's kind of like how many books. The thing that you don't know is how many people have just been doing this and just swapping the book, and you would have never even known about it forever. Like, because there's no way this is the first person that figured this thing out. This is the first person that got caught.
We know, well, not everyone who's listening may know about this, but there's this thing called white hat hackers, right? People who are paid by companies to try to hack into their internal systems to see where the vulnerabilities are. I'm not trying to say CGC has to do this, but how are these companies not doing some sort of robust, check of their stuff, right? So someone with good intentions or someone who's trying to, so I think these white hat hackers have like this, these bounties, right? Hey, you're able to get into Google's internal, we'll give you $1 million, right? And people try to do that, and I'm not saying they should need to do that, although bounties are such the rage in our hobby, but like I've been playing around with some of these different slabs from different companies, and I gotta say, some of them you can really pry open easily with a Swiss Army knife. Some of them.
The trick is, it's not so much getting them open; it's getting them open and not being able to tell.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean, and I don't. Yeah. I'm going to be very careful to not say which ones, because I've been thinking about making the content, but I'm like, holy cow. And again, I want people to know I'm not doing this for any sort of nefarious means, but I'm playing around these slabs that I own, and I'm trying to, because I always do like these goofy, videos. I know the easiest way to crack a slab is like with the what is it called? The nip, whatever it is. It's like a wrench, but it's like a snipper.
Yeah, you snip the corner and then just crack it.
You can tell that I'm like, I have like I'm not a carpenter. These hands are like, like Kramer says, they've been dipped in ivory. That Kramer from Seinfeld. But when it comes to, I guess, yeah, it's you have to crack them in a way that doesn't look like it's been tampered with, and then resealing them in a very, I guess, crazy glue or some intricate way. And then for the company itself to, one, not know the vulnerability of being able to do that, but then secondly, on the back end, not knowing, like when they are cracking it or reholdering it, that it's been tampered with, right? One, it's easy to tamper, but two, you couldn't detect that it was tampered with.
Yeah, and the other thing that was an extra level on this is, so a comic book holder is a lot like a Beckett holder. The comic book actually sits inside an inner holder, so there's almost like two holders, like an inner sleeve, basically.
Yeah.
So you could slide that inner sleeve out and then slide that into a new book. So when CGC was getting them for reholders, the theory is they're like, oh, the inner sleeve's intact. We don't need to regrade this book.
Oh, I see. So
like that was kind of like because they were getting it back, and the, once again, we don't know 100% for sure, but it was sealed good enough at least to get it past their quality control, because CGC does like custom labels. So a lot of these books were in custom labels. So like the guy was sending it back in, or girl, and saying like, hey, cool, I want to get this cool Spider-Man custom label. Can you swap this out for me? Which is completely common. People do that all the time. It's not like a nefarious thing to do that. And since the books were coming back in, and like, the inner well was attached, everything looked fine. Clearly they're not cracking them out of that inner well and regrading the book, because one of the ones that they were doing it on was a Hulk 181, which is the first appearance of Wolverine. And there's something notorious about that book. Inside it, there's a coupon. It's called a Marvel value stamp, and a lot of them back in the day when that book came out in the 70s, it got cut out. So if you send that book in for grading and it's cut out, it gets a green label, which basically means that it's been and it drastically kills the value of the book. It'll drop. So what they were doing was they would take like a 90 181 missing the value stamp, buy that one at a reduced price, slide that out, and slide it into a 90 legit and knock it out.
You know, that's interesting that something that's inside the comic book could drastically reduce the value of it because you can't see it from the front. And yet that begs the question to me, like, people are slabbing up comic books, but comic books are meant to be read. But I know that people don't, even before slabbing, you keep them in the plastic thing with the white cardboard in the back. I mean, when did people start slabbing comics? Is it as early as when people started slabbing cards? Like,
no, it's a little bit later than that, but it's been going on for probably at least, I forget when CGC formally started, but it's really taken off in the last 10 years. The thing is, it's kind of the same reason like on cards. A lot of it is more for protection. And, you know, you look at like a Amazing Fantasy 15, the first appearance of Spider-Man, a copy that a dog chewed on is still like $10,000 or $15,000.
Okay.
So when you start getting about those values, how often are you going to pull that out and be like, let me just flip through this and check out what Spider-Man's doing in my $15,000 comic book? Everyone just reads them on tablets now. I shouldn't say everyone, but a lot of people just, like, if I want to read a bunch of X-Men comic books, I'll just go lay in bed with my iPad.
Okay.
It's just like reading a comic book if you have a decent tablet. And it's the same thing with cards. Like, as values got more expensive, people wanted to verify that it was legit. Doing some shitty stuff where they altered it or color touched it or trimmed a book, like that sort of stuff. And then same thing with cards. Like, why do we grade a card? A lot of it comes down to because two humans can't agree on whether this is a 9 or a 10. So we need a third party to tell us just to make transacting easier, especially in an online world.
Right. It's like they're like the judge, right? Or they're the supposed
impartial person to say like, oh no, this is a 9, this is a 10, this is an 8. Because me and you trying to, especially when it comes to money, probably aren't going to be able to agree. One, it's hard enough to negotiate a price, let alone for us to also sit there and be like, nah, I think this is a 9.5. You think it's a 9? I don't know. No deal, I guess.
It does make cards more liquid, I think, grading. I know some people hate grading and they're like, oh my gosh, everyone's grading everything. They're grading Kanye West's album now, and you can't even listen to it if you take it out of the CD holder. And it's like, yeah, I guess I think people just want to know. Like, I know for some of my cards that I had as a kid, I kind of want to know how good did I do in preserving them. But yeah, it is interesting. Grading's here to stay. I don't think it's going to go away. I know there are some people who are like, oh, the fall of grading companies coming really soon, but it's like, is it? I don't think so.
It might slow down, but it's not going to fall. I agree with what I think Ryan said it on when you had him on this last time about like they have probably reached peak profitability, but I don't think they've reached peak numbers.
There's someone who listens to my podcast. Thank you. Go towards my listen. No,
I plan on. It's funny that we talked on that. One of the I don't plan content, but every once in a while I'll get an idea and I'll put it on a sticky note. And one of my upcoming videos will be grading is not a scam, and it essentially kind of talks about like the reasons why that we may hate them and we'll complain about them in videos and comment sections. But we do kind of need them.
Yeah, it makes cards more liquid. I mean, online, eBay, like I would rather buy a slab because I know it's in that versus a raw card where I have to figure out like what does the surface maybe look like. I mean, I would love if like PSA did subgrades, but I know they don't need to do anything. They're the clubhouse leader. They're the cool teacher. Like I said with Ryan, like, you know, you got Beckett who's all like German, you know, strict, like, oh, you know, Catholic nun teacher, and it's like PSA is like the PE teacher's like, hey, you want a 10? All right, man, here you go. Like, enjoy.
Well, PSA's publicly said they're going to add graders notes at some point. So
I would love that. I mean, do we have to pay for it?
Well, their business, so I would assume so.
Well, you know, some don't. I mean, FCG, I had them on the pod a while back, and you know, I mean, I know everyone does things differently, and it's capitalism, and they want to extract as much money as possible. But yes, I look forward to graders notes for sure. That'd be really good. So, but yeah, grading. I think I just have to have you on talk more about grading. We did talk about comics. I think I might have to make.
We could go an hour and a half on grading wars by itself.
Yeah. I mean, I think I might have to make this podcast appearance into a two-parter, which will help me out because that means I can coast a week without doing another interview. But I have so many people I want to talk to. I really look forward to talking to you and seeing you in person at the National. I will be sleeping in your garage. I don't need an actual warm room. I mean, it's gonna be July, so I don't need to be
fine.
inside.
Ohio in July is fine. They'll be like in the 70s or 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, might be hot and muggy. You never know. It just depends.
Yeah, just don't keep the car on. Just turn the car off so I don't have carbon monoxide poisoning. I need an air mattress, which I'll bring. I'll just buy it at Walmart and I'll throw it away at the end of the week. I you know, will bring granola bars. I'll be good. I'll be good. Just yeah, I just need a little corner of the garage. You could just sleep like 10 people in the garage and I'll be one of the 10. Or like in Seinfeld where like the Japanese businessmen are like in those little drawers. Just like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think my big self could get into one of those drawers. Maybe like a really big one, but like an armoire, like a Lane had with the Soup Nazi. This turned into a Seinfeld podcast now. No, but this is so much fun. Thank you so much for coming on again. Despite the Browns losing, it's like the third time I said that. I do apologize. I'll cut this up into two. I would love to have you on in the future, kind of like I've had with our counterpart Ryan. We'll get some drinks. We'll have some good food in Cleveland. Final thing I'll say, I guess, is Michael Simon he's huge in your area, and I remember watching him in Food Network. So you like his restaurants?
Yeah, I've eaten at B Spot's one that I've gone to before. That's his burger place, and I've checked out a couple of those other places.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I went to Cleveland once in my life for a wedding in Valentine's Day. So it was February. It was so cold. I remember being in the underground passageways in Cleveland. Like, apparently that's how people get around. It's like these little underground tunnels. Is that right? Right?
There are certain small sections of the city that connect from one thing to the other. Like if you go from the like Tower City over to like the I said Gund Arena because I'm from I went to Cavs games in the 90s. The Q, you could get a Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse now. I missed two arena names. Like there's a little like network that connects like the Indian Stadium, the Cavs arena, and like the major shopping center and stuff. And there's some other ones around.
I don't think you can say Indians anymore. I think it's the Guardians.
I can't. I still do. I don't care.
I'm gonna have to bleep that out. It's like the Commander's old name. So I won't ask about the Indians, but before I let you go, I did want to ask you, LeBron, are you like you're a Cleveland guy? He got you a championship. He's played around a little bit with the heartstrings. LeBron, Kyrie. I want to know your thoughts about Kyrie, LeBron, and Kyrie, and then we'll end it there.
They got us a ring, and that's an impossible task in Cleveland. So they will forever. As much as I hate, I was not the first time LeBron left. I was genuinely like heartbroken. I was like, oh my god, like this sucks. Like this is the most Cleveland thing ever. Is LeBron leaving, and then he came back, and basically everything was forgiven because he won a ring.
Yeah.
I will always appreciate Kyrie for hitting the biggest shot in Cleveland history by hitting the three. I hate the way that he left. I really wanted to see those two kind of play together. I mean, later we kind of found out that Kyrie might be a little off his rocker to begin with.
What do you mean? The earth is flat, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. But I will always hold a certain amount. Like I would never, if he came back, like if I went to a game and he was back, I would not boo Kyrie.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily cheer him. I would give like the little like nod of respect of like, thank you, sir, for what you did for this city. LeBron, I wouldn't cheer for in a Lakers jersey, but same thing. I wouldn't boo him.
Yeah, no,
Kyrie. LeBron left with those guys gave us the ring and a championship parade that anyone that grew up in Cleveland never thought we would ever see with any of our teams.
So you went to the championship parade?
I did not actually. I did not attend the parade.
Okay.
I did go to a couple finals games that year, but I did not attend.
Ooh, you went to a couple of finals games?
I was when LeBron. So my best friend in high school and I would always go to. We were going to Cavs games when Sean Kemp was on the team. Bob Sura was on the team.
Oh my god,
Sagana Diop, Z when he was drafted.
Z.
I was going when Doherty and Price played. Nice. We were going to 25 Cavs games a year during the Sean Kemp era. like bad Sean Kemp era.
I bet.
Because you can get tickets for like $5, and when you're in like a junior in high school, like you could go to a Cavs game for less than you can go to a movie.
Yeah.
So we would go all the time. So when LeBron came back, we were both adults and we're like, screw it, we're doing it. And we got a partial season ticket package.
Nice.
So I went to, I think I've been to like 4 finals games. The best thing that I've ever been to in live sports was Game 6 of the 2016 NBA Finals. That's the one where Curry threw his mouthpiece down when LeBron blocked them and stuff. Like that was, I've been to tons of live events my entire life. I've never been inside a venue that like you could legitimately just feel like the energy just bouncing off everything. It was the most intense thing I've ever been in my life.
Do you still have that ticket stub?
Digital tickets.
Digital tickets, yeah. Oh man, because
So one of the cool things that they did though, as a season ticket holder, they gave you I don't have it laying around here, it's upstairs. They gave you like a commemorative ticket that was your seat number and everything. So like at the end of the year, we got that, and it's an image of LeBron doing the block on the background. And it has like what seat number you were in, what row number you had, and all that for like the entire season. That was like the season ticket holder gift.
That's very nice.
I have that, so that's cool.
So I was a partial season ticket holder for the Wizards during the bad post. At one point, it seemed like there might have been a little bit of a Cavs Wizards Gilbert Arenas, Agent Zero, Hibachi, all that stuff. But
they had a good battle. I don't know if were you big on them when they had like, I mean, there were some good battles between the early Wizards and the early LeBron
so I didn't live in the DMV area at the time, but I did like again, like after the fact, come into the Cron Butler, Antoine Jameson.
Yeah, Cron Butler, Antoine Jameson was out for a hot minute.
Tickets were so cheap, and
was it Deshaun Stevenson that always used to try to get in LeBron's head?
I can imagine. For some reason, I'm imagining Lance Stevenson blowing.
Or Lance. Well, that was with the Pacers, but I thought the Wizards had
Deshaun. Yeah, I'm sure Deshaun with his neck tattoo and like
he used to be try to be like a lesser version of Lance.
Yeah, which is like saying something, right? I mean, Lance is like a lesser version of like Dennis Rodman or whatever, like just that intimidation or whatever.
I remember was it Gilbert when LeBron? Who was at the free throw line in a playoff game and LeBron walked past him and was like, "You're gonna miss," and then he missed. I don't remember.
Yeah, it was Gilbert. I'm pretty sure it was.
I still remember that to this day, and I don't remember how many years ago that was.
Yeah, no, he definitely did that, and man, just so, you know what's the best thing about bad basketball is you can get really good seats for cheap. So that said, I might take my kids to a Wizards game this year, not for the competitive aspect. Although this, we're recording this 2 days before Martin Luther King Day, and every year the Wizards do get an afternoon game on an MLK Day, and this year they're playing the Pistons, so that's got to be competitive. I mean, those two teams. So we'll see if
Cade's exciting. I like Cade Cunningham.
He is, but his card prices aren't going up, and I'm like, I'm holding on to these small Cades, and I'm just like, I thought that he was gonna, I mean, he's healthy, he's doing all right, but just the team is so bad. But Cade is, I think, as advertised. I think. I mean, he's not a barn burner. He's not like an all-star, but he's all right.
I think he's a good number 2.
Good number 2.
If he is your second best player, you're in a real good spot.
Well, they have a lot of number 2s, but not the poop emoji number 2s.
Wizards, you guys don't even have anyone to like get excited about, do you? You don't have like a young star that you could be like, okay, I could see the future with this guy anyway.
Jordan Poole during his photo shoot, his welcome photo shoot, had the face of like, I don't want to be here. It's like that was like such a thing. We have a lot of number 5s on our team.
Hey, I've been there. I lived through the post LeBron Cavs when they lost like 20 games in a row or whatever, and it got pretty ugly. We're actually, as a Cavs fan, I'm very fortunate that LeBron left and the team has actually rebounded as quickly as it has with Garland and Mobley. And
true,
even before the Mitchell trade, like you could see the path forward of like, oh, we got Garland and Mobley. Like these guys might not necessarily be first team All NBA, but like I'm not going to be a dumpster fire like the Pistons or the Wizards.
Thank you so much. Isn't that the irrationality of fandom though? Like you have to go through the tough times, the true collector, the true fan. It's like, oh, were
Yeah,
you
I'm a
there
true
during the
Cavs fan.
losing?
I was
Yeah,
watching Bob Sura shoot threes, and
yeah, but
I watched Ricky Davis try to get a triple double by
triple.
rebounding off
Hey,
his own basket.
you
Like,
have to. You're that close. You might as well shoot at your own basket. I remember that. I love that. But no, it's like that's what makes the championships that much sweeter, right? I mean, just that
that's why I
drought.
give LeBron and Kyrie a pass.
Yeah, no, totally. Speaking of reverberating, vibrating energy arenas, the number one, it's not even the John Wall uh, winning, hitting a game winner in game 6 and then them losing in game 7, which is hilarious. He's like standing on the scorer's
Is
table,
that the
kind of
one where
like,
he jumps on the scorer's table?
yeah, and he's just
Yeah.
like soaking it in. We were there. My friends got us tickets, and my wife and I went to that game, and it was electric. It was a lot of fun. But the number one game where I felt like it was like Florida Gator football, like that electric energy in the building was I kid you not. I really do not. I kid you not. It was Jeremy Lin coming through during Linsanity, going to that like 15 years ago. I was like literally in the last row of the arena because the tickets were so expensive because they were just going through the roof, and that crowd was so loud. It was louder than like a playoff game. It really was. There's so many more Asians in the arena, and like whatever you were, people were just going crazy over him, and he played well. That whole Insanity run, he played well, but I just remember like the arena was like electric for that, and it was so funny because it's for you know flash in a pan opposing player, but.
Could you imagine if, like, what his sports cards would be like if something like that happened now? Like, could you imagine the Silver Prism Jeremy Lin if Jeremy Lin happened in 2023?
I want that card now, Neo. I know it doesn't.
Imagine that though. Like, imagine Linsanity now.
Yeah,
like, imagine
right.
Linsanity happened now with what card prices would be. Maybe it's like the CJ Stroud playoff run that we're about to see happen.
Right. I mean, but isn't that the thing? It's not
like,
just a yeah.
I guess the closest equivalent might be like Bull during like peak pandemic.
I mean, Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant. He was the last pick of the draft, but it is that whole like he doesn't look like anyone doing this, right? I mean, how many white quarterbacks are there, right? I mean, that's just sure he's the last pick, but you have someone who, again, yes, there was Yao, yes, there were like Wang Zizi, but like these are like Chinese players, not Chinese American, not Asian American. The thing that I loved about Jeremy Lin was, and I know he got some flack from Kenyon Martin, and he clapped, very graciously clapped back to be like, hey, you have Chinese tattoos. But here was this guard playing like, not like street hoops, but he was like shooting, passing, like he was actually playing like we would play in the playground as opposed to just a big man, grabbing the ball and post and dunking it or whatever. So I mean, I remember that time and it was amazing. But to answer your question, like, yeah, it would have to be like someone who, you can even say an Asian in baseball because there are so many good Asian and Asian American players in baseball, but like not so many, but you know what I mean. But yeah, it was like a cultural, it was like a zeitgeist moment, right? It transcended sports.
Well, and the out of nowhereness too, because it wasn't like Jeremy Lin was like a hot prospect. Like it wasn't like he was like the number one pick or like a hot name or like Harvard, people could see potential in him to do this one day.
Yeah,
it was like literally out of nowhere.
Right. Yeah, and again, like I know people are, oh, we love Brock Purdy, or I can't even think of like a good baseball prospect, but like yeah, like the out of nowhereness, like Cam Thomas. I mean, the draft is interesting because there's only 2 rounds in the NBA, and most of them, and most of them do have rookie cards. But yeah, it really is. It was like a cultural moment, and for that, I'll for the longest time, it doesn't matter how tall or short you were always Yao Ming on the courts when I was playing pickup, and then it became, oh, you're Jeremy Lin, after you just hit like one shot. So
I've never looked. Does Lin have cool cards? I don't even know. Like I've never even gone down that rabbit hole. Like, is there a big Jeremy Lin collector base out there?
This is so embarrassing, and we definitely at this point have to make this into a 2-parter. But my number one pickup or desired want list card at the National didn't exist, which was an on-card auto of him in a Knicks uniform. So there are on-card autos of him in like a Warriors uniform, his rookie cards. There's this dual auto that I've been eyeing. And like everyone, they have the sticker cards, but I some of his nicer, more like I don't know, like the sneaker, the noir, the sneaker signatures and all that. It's like him in a Brooklyn Nets uniform or Atlanta Hawks, but
How has Panini not figured that out? Like, let's get, like they love to put vet people in a checklist. Like, let's get, if they put Jeremy Lin in like a noir with a sneaker auto on it or something, like I have to imagine people would chase that card.
let's have them not take pictures of players behind high school gyms. Let's keep the bar really low.
Well, like you said earlier, Fanatics listens. There you go. When Topps Chrome Basketball comes out, get the retro Topps Chrome with the Jeremy Lin vet. On card auto, refractor on card auto.
Just take my money. Yeah, no, I would love that. But there was something really romantic that I got about the idea of him signing the card where he's in a Knicks uniform. Like, why do we want on card autos? It's like because we want to feel more connected to the athlete. Why have I become such an auto snob where I'm like, oh, look at this initialized auto that looks terrible, like they don't care? It's because we want to think that these athletes actually care. And of course, some of them don't because it's just transactional to them. But it's that part that really that we romanticize is we're capturing lightning in a bottle that 1 year or that one season or rookie cards. That's why they're so important. It's when they just came out and they weren't big hot shots or anything like that.
Yeah, I've always said what you're really chasing is the memory. You're chasing like as an adult chasing that. Like when you went to the National looking for that Jeremy Lin card, I have to imagine part of it is say that card existed and you found it. Part of owning that and that chase is like basically buying the memory of what you felt like when you were that age when it all happened, like getting that feeling again of like, oh, I remember the way that this made me feel for this time of my life when like things were simpler or whatever. Like
right.
Or maybe even an adult or
I was a young adult. I had like young adult money. I wasn't like a kid at that time. I was like working, but I just remembered I didn't have a lot of money. Like that's why I sat in the last row of the arena that night.
Yeah. So you like going after that card if you ever found it, or like maybe you buy whatever a nice Knicks card, and I don't know if he does in-person signings at like through TriStar or anything like that.
Yeah.
And you got a chance to get one signed. Like I have to imagine a portion of that is just like chasing that memory or that feeling of what you remember from sitting in that arena that day.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I do have a NBA Hoops card of him in a Knicks uniform, but it's a sticker auto. Again, like it's okay that it's a sticker auto, but it's just the romantic idealism that I have attached to the concept of, ooh, like, could he have signed this during his Linsanity run? And of course, that's a wild thought to have. But again, fanaticism, we're irrational.
What we do. Yeah, we're not normal people.
We're not normal people.
We spend tons of money on pictures of men on cardboard or women or movie characters or whatever, and then encase them in plastic and carry them around.
I gotta ask you about the Marvel cards and like your cards and comics. You love your Marvel cards. Like Haley Stanfield is the main chase for the Marvel like Spider-Man multiverse cards. Is that right? Like
for me, it is because I'm a big Spider-Gwen fan / Ghost Spider, and she's the voice actress from Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, she's so good.
Her, in addition to she's the live action Kate Bishop from the Hawkeye TV show. So she kind of dual.
That I don't know, but I've watched the multiverse, the first two. I know the third's coming out next year, I'm sorry, not next year. I don't know when it's coming out, but my kids and I have watched the first two like so many times. We would love it. I think it's so impressive. So, but like who's signing these cards? Is it the voice actor? Like, does Miles Morales? Oh my gosh, what's his real name? But is he signing?
I forget his name, but yeah, you can get an auto with the voice actor signature on it.
Okay, because I know there's like this big. People were like upset about like, ooh, look at this Mickey, Pluto, Donald Duck triple auto, and they look so Mickey Mouse. And
that's like, weird to me because the auto is just printed on there. It's not even someone physically signing it.
It's printed. It's not even.
It's like a facsimile auto. I don't think it's like actually signed with ink. Like I think it's like literally just printed on there like an insert.
That's not cool.
I'm pretty sure. Don't hold me to that.
Yeah. Okay, I won't hold.
Well, either way, it's not like there's like an original Donald Duck laying around to sign the thing. There is no like. There's not one particular Donald Duck voice actor or voice actress.
Yeah.
Whereas at least with like the Marvel stuff, you can have like the actor or actress, whether it's voice
Right.
or physical performance, sign it.
Yeah, facsimile. Yeah, that doesn't sound good. Yeah, that then I will maybe clam on the cards. But yeah, there's like this super fractal one of one, and people on the internet were like hating on it. I'm like, well, some people like those cards. What's the big deal? But if it's like a facsimile, I know we got auto pen. Like, there's a lot of shady stuff with autos. But
I never got into the whole like, why are you? And I mean, I guess I've made videos like this about like if this seems like an obscene amount of money, but it's just as easy for someone to say that I spent $2,000 on a Harrison Ford Han Solo on card auto.
true.
Like plenty of people probably think that's the stupidest thing in the world, while they're out spending $2,000 on a Jeremy Lin Knicks jersey on card
Yeah.
auto. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Right.
we're all dumb. Like what are we
Yes.
all really doing here? Like
Right.
we're spending a ton of money on really stupid stuff.
It's true.
Like we're all buying stupid stuff. It just means something differently to everybody.
Yes, it does. Well said. Man, this is a lot of fun. I imagine, kind of like you were saying, you have an idea of what will do well based upon the thumbnail and what you put. Podcasts, we don't really have thumbnails, but when someone looks at this and they see 2 hours of two dudes just talking, one Asian American about Linsanity, the Italian Ukrainian talking about CGC comics, like, I don't know how well it's going to do, but this is a lot of fun. I do look forward to having you in the future, like I did with Ryan. And again, look forward to seeing the national. This is a lot of fun. This really was.
Yeah, it was great. Like I said, we had probably like a 10 or 15-minute conversation at the backup party, I think, and then some random IG DMs over the few months since then. But yeah,
Yeah,
it was good
yeah,
to sit down and have like a formal conversation.
yes, and we will definitely drink and eat more shrimp at the next national at the 9. It's Cleveland. It's called the 9, like Toronto is the 6. So
hopefully, Becca can afford to put on a party this year.
They might not be able to afford it. I think this time they're gonna do what did you call it? Public shrimp. Now it's gonna be like
public shrimp. Yeah,
clams. They'll be like, look, this is all we got, guys. But no, thank you so much, Neo, for your time. Sorry about the Browns. And just look forward to you playing host and you telling everyone where to go in 6 months, but when this records, but July of 2024 at the National.
I have a video on the YouTube channel. I made it right after last year's National about like the playbook for the Cleveland National.
I did not watch. I will go back and look at it, and I'll let you know what I think.
Around out there.
Okay, awesome. All right, I'm gonna press end recording, but stick around so we could just talk a little bit, and then we'll call it a night.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you for listening to part 2. The washer is still going. Just so many snow days for the kids, but not the adults, including teacher work days. So definitely cry emoji. If you are listening to this podcast, please rate and review in whichever platform you're listening on. I would very much appreciate that. So have a great week in and out of the hobby and keep having fun in your cardboard journey.